All right, we're back. German Impulse. We're on December 17th. The last Impulse we did, we activated this corps, so we cannot activate them this time. Remember, the Allied command level is 4, so after 4 points are used, the Allies get a turn. I'm going to activate 5FJ. Yes. I'm going to activate the 5th Division here. It's going to cost me 1 point. Because rather than getting bogged down and attacking across this river, I'm going to move pieces up and around. So it might take a couple turns to be able to attack. I'll hope that the Allies do not reinforce. So this stack is all the 5th Division. It's going to cost me 1 point to break contact, and then I'll be moving up the road. So it'll be 1, 2, because I have to break contact up the road. 3. I'll do that with at least one more piece. And I think I'll do it with the 3rd one as well. Okay. And that's it. There's no attacks, there's nothing else, because I activated and I moved the entire division, and there's no combat. So that used 1 point. Just set that card up there for now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let me also move or activate the wait a second. I could deploy a reserve, which would be that LXXX armored. I could deploy him here, and on a subsequent turn, I could cross the river. I could cross the river. I could cross the river. Could break contact and move here. I am instead going to activate all units in corps of the LXXX. I think that's the 80th. Okay, and what we'll do is we'll move. He can move across an unbridged river and stop. He can move across an unbridged river, then stop. He's going to break contact plus 1 road. That's a movement cost of 2. So my thought there is a subsequent time I can cross the river. This guy will I think that's actually supposed to be a bridge, although there's no symbol. 2303. There's a uh-oh. Sorry. In the errata, let's see. 2-player German Allied. A bridge depiction should exist across 2302 to 2303. Yes. 2203 to 2303. Okay, so yeah, that's an error on the map. It's not going to affect my move because I only wanted to move to here anyway. So my thought here is on a subsequent activation, I could move across the river, and everyone could attack without the river penalty. Okay. So that's that activation. So now I've expended 3 points between the two cards. And I could move the 6th now. Let's throw a bunch at that hex. Okay, so I'm going to activate all units in the 1SS Panzer Corps. So let's move everything. 2, 3, 4. I'm wondering if I want to go after this piece. I could bring him to here. I can bring this, would cost me 1, 2. Breaking contact plus the road. 1, 2, 3, 4. Gives me 11. He can get up here. Gives me 16. 16 to 3. Which is 5 to 1. Or do I want to throw a heavier attack against that? I'm going to go for this guy. Okay. So this would be 1, 2, 3 on the movement points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That would cost 4 for the woods. So he can just go to here. Piper can do 1 to break contact, 2 on the road, 3, 4. Whoops. 1 to break contact plus 1 for the road is 2, 3, 4. Okay, so he can move here. That would cost me 3 to get in there. That's a stack of 5. Well, we'll wing it on a couple of these and see what happens. So we'll move an armored up. We will move this piece, 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll advance those pieces, this piece, this piece. That's the weakest one. We'll leave him out of that particular combat. And we can at least move him to here. This stack, unfortunately, won't be in combat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's spend a little extra time. We're going to take all 3 of these. That's a movement cost of 2, a movement cost of 3. So that's all 5. I may try and do something up here with his help. This piece, 1, 2, 3. Three, 4, 2, 3. We'll at least move him to here. All right. This combat, he's a 3. This has 6, 7, 8, 9, 6, 8, 14 to 3. I wish we had another point in there, but we don't. Unless we use that stack. Let's do that instead. What were we at? 15? We were at 3, 8, 14. That makes it 25 to 3. That's 8 to 1. I like that better. Let's just make one attack against that from these 3 stacks. I'm not going to use any cards. We will have a total, a max chit will be 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 with the elite, 10 because we have more than 2 dots. So still could be a strong attack. No other tactics. They, on the other hand, get to draw a card. Crap. They get artillery as a combat tactic. They potentially could have deployed help if that piece we're attacking was part of the 12th Corps. It is not. It's part of the 5th Corps. So they get artillery. That's never fun. Minimum chit draw is 2. Defender, armor only, no. Attacker only, armor, yes, that applies. Attacker is not green. Attacker is elite. So both of those apply. Let's go with, there's times when these start off like this, good, and then I draw a few more chits and it ends up being no effect. Right now, if I left it as is, that IP marker would come off and the piece would, he would test to see if he held his position or if he retreated. That's not what I want. I want to hopefully, he would test to see if he held his position or retreated. I would rather get him eliminated. If I do at least a total draw of 7, it's a large attack. I'm going to draw 6 more. Remember, the maximum was 10, so I'm going to have a total of 8. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 5, 6. I don't know what this is doing in there. All right. The odds were 8 to 1, I believe. Crap, not quite 9 to 1. So that one will apply. The defender is green. Defender's not elite. He is green because he has the white dots. It is a large attack. Defender is not elite. Defender is green. We're doing good here. Greater than 4 to 1. Yes, yes, yes. Greater than 4 to 1. It's greater than 7 to 1. Wow. That was outstanding. He had artillery. We took no hits. So no attacker hits, and there's enough Ds there that he's wiped out. We're not going to go through the checks. You know, the IP position would be 1. 4 more hits means he's eliminated no matter what. So that piece is gone. Gone and gone. Okay, so that gives us another a second allied unit eliminated, so that's another victory point. And on our advance, so again, armor, let's look the rules up so you can see it. It's not going to necessarily qualify as a 2-hex advance. I'll explain here. So typically, attacking mechanized may advance 2 hexes if the defender conducted a 2-hex retreat or was eliminated. Okay? Yes, he was eliminated. That qualifies me for a 2-hex advance. But let's keep reading. The first must be the vacated hex. The unit must stop if crossing an unbridged river. The second may be any hex, but when deviating from the path of retreat, a unit may not move from an enemy-controlled hex to another. That's the key part of this. So, if that piece had retreated, such as going 1, 2, we could have followed him with armor going 1, 2. Okay? As long as we do not deviate from his path of retreat. There is a rule clarification. If the defender is eliminated, there is no path to deviate from, since no path of retreat was established. Therefore, yes, we can move here as our first one, but now we're not allowed to move from an enemy-controlled hex to another enemy-controlled hex. We can only do that if we're following the piece that retreated. The piece did not retreat. He was eliminated. Okay? So, I am going to leave these pieces here. There's no benefit of putting armor in here because I can't do a retreat like that. I cannot follow him. I want pieces here because now this piece is going to be considered surrounded. And let's just go ahead and move this stack in there. That was an armor, another armor, and an infantry. All right, those are going to stay put. So now I can put together a nice attack on this guy who's now also considered surrounded. Even this guy is now considered surrounded because I have a zone of control in this hex and in this hex, even though there is an allied unit, but that piece would be considered surrounded. All right. Now, while we're at it, I used this, I was not going to attack that. I used that stack. So that is it on that attack. And now I have used up 6 command value points, which is the, if we've used more than 4, more than or equal to 4, our impulse ends. We draw cards to bring our cards in play back to 6. Ooh, that's a nice one. 5th Army. Another 5th Army. And Army Group B represents all the 3 German armies. So we have some good cards out there right now. So let's hop over and do the next Allied impulse. All right. Again, we see if there's a special event. If not, we look for a deploy reserves. There is no special. We do have a deploy 7th Armored and 82nd Airborne if they're in the reserve box. Right there we've got 7th Armored, 3 of them. So again, on December 16th, we would only be deploying 1 of these pieces. Now that it's the 17th, we can do all 3. It's going to specify to deploy them in order, smallest to greatest, so the 01, the 02, the 03. All right. Let's just set that right there. We want to use... We want to use this method A. Again, 16th and 17th, check units in reserve unit box using method A only. So the XVIII is from this line up. So I can tell right now we've got XVII on the board. We've got open positions that Germans are proximate to. So I know we're going to be placing units. Let's use these little army helmets to help out. All right. So one of the key things here, I'm going to skip ahead. When we place pieces based on that, it's going to look for within 3 hexes of unit in same division or same corps. Okay. So of all the eligible spots, the first criteria is then going to be, is it within 3 hexes of this division? The 7th Armored is not yet on the map. We do have a core piece on this one. And that's the only piece from the 18th Corps. Therefore, we really only need to look at the hexes within 3 of this. Again, it was above this line. Empty position, core area, trace Allied supply, German unit is proximate. So right here, this piece could go 1. Oh, we cannot reach that because 1, 2, he would have to stop. 1, 2, 3, he cannot get there. He can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So he could get there actually. That's next to an allied piece. That's next to an allied piece. He'd get surrounded there. This is actually more than 3 away from that. So really we just need to look at these 3 hexes because they are empty positions in the unit's core area. They can trace supply. German unit is proximate. Let's double check they're not in danger of surround. No, we would not be able to surround pieces in either of those 3 hexes. Not adjacent to allied unit. So then within 3 hexes of the same core, that's those 3 spots, if more than one position, highest hex or highest hold value, which is going to be this victory point town. So the first piece will deploy there. All right. The second piece might not deploy because it needs to be above this line. Now, I cannot get here in one move. I cannot get there because to cross an unbridged river, you have to be next to it. He does not have a zone of control. That would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 movement points. So I cannot get above this dotted blue line. That would be next to an allied piece, next to an allied piece, and so forth. 1, 2. So now, is there anywhere else that I'm proximate to? I'm going to look at that rule because empty position, unit's core area, trace supply. No, I cannot move. I'm not proximate to that point. So I'm not proximate to any positions. An exception would be if the position has a hold value of 5 or 6. But I cannot get there. What that means if it was 5 or 6. If this was a 5 or 6, that means that would be eligible for a reserve placement. But it needs to be a 5 or a 6. So there's nothing else, you go through that. If there is no such position, do not place. Check other eligible units. So the only other eligible unit is from the same corps and division, etc. No place for him. So that's it. Those 2 remain in the reserve box. And that is the end of the Allied impulse. So the next impulse would be German.